Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name is Mike Dewan here with the Region Sports Network live at the Athletic Performance Factory for Region Football Weekly. Alongside me is Jay Simmons. Jay, Week 9, how are we here? We had sectionals drawn. Unbelievable that we're up to this point, but yeah, we've been doing this for quite some time, and now here we are, man. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm fired up for this week. We're going to talk in depth a lot about the game that I'm going to be doing this week. I think it's going to be a great one. We're going to have some fun predictions.
Yeah, conference implications are on the line. Conference titles. It's there's no more. This is Week 9. This is the final week of the regular season, so a lot to play for some of these games. We have a good game on the Region Sports Network. 3 other games to talk about, of course, as well on the Region Sports Network, and plenty others. But, of course, we started off talking about Week 8. And all this on Region Football Weekly is brought to you by Tire Pros in Maryville. We are more than tires. Again, Mike Dewan, Jay Simmons, Justin Cole, our producer. Thank you all so much for joining us, and let's get on into it. Starting off with some Week 8 scores, Jay. The Andrean 59ers, 21, Hanover, nothing. Andrean, we'll talk about them later in the show, but the defense, we'll keep it short and sweet. This defense, especially championship caliber, a state championship winning defense, we could say.
Definitely. They are knocking it out of the park. Their defense is red hot. Just get enough offense to keep winning games, and we'll see how they do.
A top 10 matchup that we saw at the Brickyard. Number 8 at the time, the Hobart Brickies got the win over the 10th-ranked Morton Governors. The score of that one was 29-18 in favor of Hobart. Hobart, they didn't really do anything special on offense. They really ran it all through one player. And Morton we talked about them a little bit. They had at least some easier opponents that we could say. And this was a good second half for the Governors, but Hobart, good for them to get a top 10 win against a tough Governor squad.
That's right, and the scoring was under 100 points this game. Right. So I'm sure the officials and everybody at the game was very happy about that.
No doubt about it. Defensive coordinators were definitely happy as well. These two teams put up points. To talk about at least Hobart, Alex Tatum was the main guy over there for the Brickies. Was 9 of 12 for 151 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Out of Hobart's 119 rushing yards, 114 of them came from the legs of Alex Tatum as well. Also had 2 touchdowns. Hobart defense, 4 sacks, and again, a big-time win for Hobart, Jay, and we could kind of snowball this with all the teams that are winning games now. To play your best football, it's an old adage, but again, Hobart now back-to-back wins, a big win against Morton, and for all the teams, I mean, what do you want to see at this final third of the season, this final week of the season, where, again, sectionals, Jay, right around the corner?
Well, the thing is, you want to be peaking right at this time.
Sure.
You're reducing your individual time, reducing your group time, and you're really focused on team and what you want to put in, what you finally, if you want to put in a few added here and there plays for sectionals that you haven't shown yet all season, add those in. But you really want to be solidified at all your positions and know who can do what and what they can do best right here at this time of the season.
No doubt about it, but a big win for Hobart that is definitely trending in the right direction. And what is a 4A sectional, Jay, that we'll talk about that is definitely wide open in the year of 2025. Kankakee Valley gets their first win of the season. They got it over Highland, 27-10 was that final score. The Lowell Red Devils coming in at 4 in our poll. Keep on rolling, 49-14 over the Munster Mustangs. Jay, a game that you were at, between the Crown Point Bulldogs, the top-ranked Crown Point Bulldogs, and the number 9 Chesterton Trojans. And Jay, a top 10 matchup in the Duneland, but didn't seem like that. Once again, Crown Point puts the points up on the board. They won this one 48-10. What did you see from that game?
Well, I saw one thing that really stuck out to me is Hunter Boyd, sort of his awakening in the second quarter and third quarter. He looked like he was a deer in headlights that first quarter. He didn't want to be out there. He was scared. He played like it. And then all of a sudden, that second quarter came around. He played really well, played under control. And he had time. That's the key right there. And I think some teams are going to look at this and go, whoa, wait a minute. We found something in Crown Point's defense. Maybe we can get some time, throw the ball downfield. And Hunter Boyd was on fire in that second quarter. So great job for him. Only a sophomore, so he's maturing. And the Chesterton played well in that second quarter. Now you got to put three other quarters together.
Yep.
Crown Point played well. They played great defense, but it was a little sliver of hope for other teams against Crown Point that they're, maybe their pass defense isn't as good as everybody makes it to be. Or Chesterton played that well in passing.
But one thing about Crown Point, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw negative 23 rushing yards for the Chesterton Trojans. I mean, I think Crown Point's plan in this one was to stop the rushing game of Andrew Govea, and I would say mission accomplished in this one. And although Hunter Boyd played great, I'm sure Crown Point at that point was just like, okay, take your dink and dunks, and when we're up by this many points,
that's right.
Mission accomplished, though. I'd say over there.
Definitely. Crown Point can focus on, if they can take one thing away, they might give up a little bit in something else. So yes, their defense played great as always, and only giving up 10 points. And boy, they've always played lights out, and their offense is just clicking on all cylinders, whether it's the passing game, running game.
Yep.
They are so balanced and so well coached. It's going to be tough for people to stop them.
Crown Point moves to 8-0 on the year. Chesterton drops to 5-3. Another Duneland game. This game I was at. The Maryville Pirates, coming in at 2 in our poll, got the win over the Lake Central Indians, 42-18. And Jay, I was very interested to see Maryville was one of the teams in the Duneland I haven't seen this year. And I'll tell you what, I know, again, you were at another game, but you could definitely speak on the play of Michael Hill Jr., who had a measly 4 total touchdowns to his name in comparison to what he does in most weeks. But this team is for real. And again, from what I saw, they could throw the football, they could run the football. J.Q. Johnson was much more of a weapon than he has been in previous weeks. And he's one of those guys I could imagine that you forget about as defenses when Maryville, they have 3 top receivers, anybody that could really hurt you. Then let's give it to J.Q. Johnson. The backfield has been doing this for 3 years, so it's impressive what they're doing.
Yeah, and they're just so well balanced. They can, whatever you decide to take away, they're gonna slam the other side of it. So if you take the passing game away, then they're gonna do the running game. If you take the running game away, they're gonna do the pass. And with Michael Hill Jr., with his legs, you've got to dedicate a spy on him defensively. So that means if you're gonna rush 4, you're gonna have a spy on him. And now you're limited into what kind of coverages you can do behind that. So I think teams are going to look at that and say, maybe we'll only rush 3, force him to stay in the pocket, spy with somebody, and then drop the other 7 players. But whatever you do, I think the first step in controlling Maryville is controlling Michael Hill Jr., especially with his legs and his arms.
Right, and from what I saw from that game, to my count, 0 sacks on Michael Hill Jr. So he didn't have to run the football much. I believe Lake Central did a good job of containing him, but he had almost 300 yards of offense through the air and also had a rushing touchdown on just 3 carries. Maryville keeps on rolling. They improve to 6-2. Michigan City got a close win against their rival LaPorte. That game was down to the wire on the Region Sports Network, 20-7. In favor of the 7th-ranked Michigan City Wolves. The Valparaiso Vikings on what was a fun night at Portage to honor a Hall of Fame head coach, but the Vikings spoiled the festivities 34-3 over the Portage Indians. Valparaiso, good to see them get back on the board. Westside got a big win over Bishop Knoll, 36-6, and another GSSC game, Jay, that we could definitely pump the brakes on and building up some more hype for a potential big Week 9 game that they have coming tomorrow night. But the Griffith Panthers, arguably the performance of the week over the Calumet Warriors, the rival, the Calumet Warriors, 63-14. A big sigh from our Calumet alum producer Justin Cole, and rightfully so, because Jay, this was a game that, although Calumet, they showed a lot of fight against Wheeler, a team that is poised to also win their side of the GSSC. This was all Griffith in this one.
Yeah, Griffith 56-14 at halftime. Well, that's just laying the wood right there. And, we'll talk a little bit more about this as, from Calumet Week 7 to Calumet Week 8. We're going to talk a little bit more about how that may affect what happens in Week 9.
Griffith wins one of the Total Team Efforts Awards of the week. Big shout-out to them, and big shout-out to Devon Thomaston. 3 total touchdowns, had a pick 6, a rushing touchdown, and receiving as well. Lake Station, also a Total Team Effort Award winner. They win their side of the GSSC 29-8, won that game over the Boone Grove Wolves. Big shout out to the Fighting Eagles, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Rensselaer got the win over River Forest, 57-17. Wheeler strikes back big time, gets back to what we kind of saw in the first third of the season from them, 52-0 over the Whiting Oilers. East Chicago Central stays undefeated in the GLAC with their first game in the GLAC. I guess we should say it sets up a winner-take-all in Week 9 against Morton after they got the win 22-12 over the Hammond Central Wolves. And the Bowman Academy Eagles, another team that won a total team effort. A big shout out to what they're doing over there. A winless team last season now has 5 wins on the year, 47-14 win over Tri-County. Some out of area scores. Knox beat Bremen 44-15. North Judson won 35-0 over Caston. North Newton, a narrow victory, 15-12 over North White. Faith Christian got the win over South Newton, 36-28. And Penn, a big-time win, moving to 8-0, 49-0 over New Prairie J. Next up, we got our top 10, as always, and some familiar foes. But, hey, we got to talk about it. We'll be back here on Region Football Weekly on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Hi, my name is Mark Macknick. I'm the owner of Mark Macknick CPA firm in Highland, Indiana on Kennedy Avenue. I've been working with Region Sports for years now. Started working with Chris years ago, just on some special projects, advertising here and there. After a while, kind of increased the advertising. Mainly was doing it for the community involvement. It's such a great network and program they do with the high school sports. But as time went by, I started getting on there more frequently. And then the phone starts ringing. And I was getting calls all the time from people. Hey, I saw your ad on so-and-so football game. I saw your ad on a basketball game. And it's really helped my business. It's increased the volume. We're a tight community in Northwest Indiana, sports-wise, and just a lot of community involvement. So that's mainly why I got into it. I remember watching one game. It was a basketball game, and I think there was a little bit of an altercation. And as the altercation was happening, my ad was right on the bottom, and someone typed in, "I wonder what Mark Macknick's thinking right now." And I was thinking, wow, this is awesome. It's really been a great feature for my business. It's the only advertising I do. I don't advertise anywhere else other than Region Sports. It's for the business, but mainly for the involvement with the community. I played high school baseball here in Highland, and ever since I've been advertising on Region Sports, a lot of my old coaches are now my clients. A lot of my old teammates come in here. My recommendation, if you're a business here in Northwest Indiana, I think Region Sports is, for your money, it's one of the best places that you can advertise. I mean, I can advertise on billboards. I could do anywhere I want to. And I choose Region Sports, mainly because I get a lot of feedback, especially on the high school level. A lot of the parents, if they can't make a game, they're watching it online. They're watching a replay, the grandparents. So it's done wonders for my business, and it's my go-to for advertising. It's the only spot I would advertise. So if you're a business owner in the area, really look into advertising on Region Sports. It's going to be well worth your money, and you'll make tenfold on what you're spending. Region Sports Network, they're the only game in town, but they're more than just a game.
Welcome back in the Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville. We are more than tires. Mike Dewan, Jay Simmons, Justin Cole, coming to you live from the Centier Bank studio at the Athletic Performance Factory. Segment 2, you know what time it is, the Enigenberg Exteriors Home Improvement Top 10. We start with the outside looking in, which actually gained a team. Jay, this is 3 teams here on the bubble still trying to get in the top 10. Top 10 still has the same 10 teams. A little bit of a shakeup near the middle of the list to start off with those teams just knocking on the door. The Lake Station Fighting Eagles, the division champs in the GSSC, 29-8 victory over Boone Grove. Jay, Lake Station, you've been in this business for quite some time. This was a team they weren't expected to win 6 games in many years. It's been quite some time since they've reached this mark and to win their division. So just seeing that, we could dive into stats and whatnot and the players, but overall, just saying, hey, Lake Station doing good. It's history.
It is, and that's it's a baby step for the program, because now all of a sudden you can go in the hallways as a coach and say, hey, you're going to come out for football. Hey, I like you did good in wrestling, you did good in basketball. Yep. You need to be on the football team. So that's going to be a lot easier for him to recruit the hallways and hopefully build the program going in the future.
A very strong senior class too. Big shout out to Coach Glenn Goley over there. The Calumet Warriors stay within the bubble, still a talented team, Jay, but again, it's just one of those shocking losses last week that they really couldn't get anything going. And Griffith, I mean, we'll talk about them a little bit later in the
Right.
show, but Griffith, I mean, they poured it on them. Calumet's still a team that we saw them fighting at some of the GSSC's best. We can't let 1 week define them, but yeah, it's one of those where, I mean, they had a real chance to get in the top 10, and they definitely failed that test.
And I think, you know what, I think Calumet was looking backwards instead of looking forward and was still harping on that loss. That's my thought, and the way the score indicates it. I mean, Griffith's a great team, but I think Calumet was still had sour grapes over that loss from the previous week against Wheeler.
Got to rebound come next week. They take on Westside, another rival as well. And the Bowman Academy Eagles enter their name into the bubble. 5-3 record. One of the best first-year head coaches. Again, we talk about kind of the stigma behind the first-year head coach and the struggles you'll see in that first year. Not over here at Bowman Academy. Gary Richardson, the new head coach over there at Bowman, took a winless team last year, and now this team is 5-3. Jay, we kind of talked about it with Lake Station, but once again, Bowman now one of those smaller schools that sometimes gets forgotten about, at least in the sport of football. Awesome to see them, this kind of 1 year turnaround, and a big piece of the puzzle is Quintavious Fly, a sophomore wide receiver, 482 yards on 23 catches, 7 touchdowns. So they got a piece over there as well. That's kind of be one of those building blocks.
That's
for these next
right,
few
and
seasons.
you can build around a good wide receiver, get a good quarterback, then all of a sudden you get a couple offensive linemen. Now everything's starting to go the right way for Bowman Academy.
Cannot wait to see how they fare, not only going in that 1A sectional, but beyond this season. We enter in the top 10, Jay, and number 10 remain the Morton Governors even after that loss at the Brickyard last week. 29-18 was that final. It was a stronger second half for Morton, but Morton got shut out in the first half. They began kind of almost too little, too late. 18-9 in the second half in favor of them. I believe that first half score was 20-0 in favor of Hobart. So you do the math there. But Morton, again, a team that's talented, a team that's in that 5A class, one of the bigger schools, but it's just hoping to kind of rebound, win a potential GLAC title come tomorrow night. And again, a 5A sectional, they start very quickly against the Maryville Pirates.
And they're going to be swimming at the deep end of the pool going against the Maryville Pirates. So good luck to them coming forward.
No pun intended with the Pirates, but big shout out to despite the loss, Maury Price had a respectable game. Again, only a freshman at the quarterback position, so kudos to see what he's done over the course of this season. And again, he's still got plenty of years left under center. He went 12 of 23 for 150 passing yards. Davian Terry, especially one of the top running backs in the area, had 16 carries for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in the losing effort. Another team that lost but stays at their spot are the Chesterton Trojans, 5-3, 4-2 now in the conference. A team that was kind of riding high to that Crown Point game, and things got away from them outside of what you said, that second quarter. This team especially, I'd like to say this week, do not want to have minus 23 rushing yards to their name against the Maryville Pirates.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have to work on that. Just trying to keep their spirits positive. I mean, they did slow down Crown Point in places, but when you're playing that kind of team, you just hope for the best. And Chesterton, I thought, played well for the first half. I thought they did a nice job. So I think, and then they get the second team in the Doolin Conference, Maryville Pirates, this week. So it's going to be tough sledding as they go into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a way to test yourselves, and you get that off week with the 5 and 6A classes, with the 4-team sectionals. You get that 1 week off, and it's a 5A sectional. We'll talk about later, Jay. That is definitely wide open, to say the absolute least. I guess to stay on Chesterton one more time, I think a positive, and you could speak on this, was if the rushing game wasn't working, this team was pretty much dead to rights. But now they have a little bit of a passing game that if plan A doesn't work, your plan B isn't too bad.
Yeah, right. And it's baby steps with a young quarterback, and especially with the kind of pressure Crown Point can bring. And Maryville's going to do the same thing. They're going to throw the heat. They're going to throw the whole kitchen sink at this young quarterback, and it's going to be fun to see how he reacts.
Coming up at number 8 are the Hobart Brickies, who got that win over the Morton Governors, 6-2 on the year, 4-2 in the NCC. The NCC is out of their reach, but nonetheless, 2 straight wins. Yeah, we talked about them, and we'll keep it moving on them. But they're building up momentum in a 4A sectional that was ran by New Prairie, and New Prairie's a team right now that's kind of sputtering, and the favorites might be Hobart. You might talk about a lull as well, and it's, again, wide open. And right now, Hobart, you just want to finish the season strong and get ready to go for New Prairie come next week.
That's right. Play strong, play like it's a playoff game for Hobart, and then try and make sure just get out of the game with no injuries and then get ready for the playoffs.
And I believe they'll have 3 straight games at the Brickyard. So they played Morton at the Brickyard last week. I believe they have Highland tomorrow. And then they welcome New Prairie into the Brickyard. So that's awfully nice.
Home field advantage. You got to like that.
That's a tough place to play, especially in a playoff environment. Coming up at number 7 are the Michigan City Wolves, who got that kind of survived this scare against the LaPorte Slicers, 6-2 record, 5-1 in the DAC. The team that did not play up to par had 10 penalties to LaPorte's 2, but a big shout out to one of those many pieces in the backfield, Jeremy Thurman, 17 carries, 116 rushing yards, had a game-winning touchdown late in the fourth quarter. DeMarion Evans, 8 carries, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jay, to my count, I saw on Max Preps, 8 different ball carriers. That's impressive to have a lot of guys that you have trust in, but also, again, guys that can produce at a level like this.
And yeah, that's awesome. It's, diversified, offense. You got to love it. One guy, they take away one guy, now all of a sudden you got some other guys to go to. I think the key for Michigan City here this week is going to be, can they play a clean game? Get away from those 10 penalties, stay mistake-free, no turnovers, play a solid game going into the playoffs. I think that's what the Michigan City staff is looking for this week.
And they'll have quite the test coming up. A winner-take-all, or they have a chance at least a share of the Duelman title, come tomorrow night. Up at 6, here's where kind of there's a little bit of a shift. Despite a 52-0 win, Wheeler takes a step back at the 6th spot. Still 7-0, 2-0 on the season. A big get-back game nonetheless. Big shout-out to a backfield that's been great. Levi Murray's been kind of the name we've been talking about, but a freshman, Andrew Bizieri, those two combined for 300 yards, 3 total touchdowns. And Wheeler, we'll talk about maybe, I can imagine why there's a little bit of a shift in the middle of this poll, but nonetheless, good to see them kind of get back to where we kind of expected them, kind of in the first half of the season.
Yeah, that's right. And they're rolling.
Yep.
I think what they're doing offensively is they're taking what the other team's giving. If they're taking away one aspect, they're taking the other aspect, the passing and the run. So they can do both just as well. And I think Coach Tessa will agree with me on that one. I'm sure that's what they're doing. If you're going to take away one of the best receivers in the area, then they're going to say, we're going to go with our running game.
Sure.
And just take you always got to take what the defense gives you.
That's right. And Wheeler now 7-0, their best start in a decade, but they traded places with the team. They'll play tomorrow night. The 5th-ranked Griffith Panthers get back in the top 5, a spot that we saw them in kind of the beginning of the season before they fell to the Lowell Red Devils. But, Jay, we talked about them already. A performance of the week against a common opponent in the Calumet Warriors.
That's right.
Think seeing what they did on the road against Calumet versus – and you don't want to look at this too much, but again, looking at it 2 weeks ago where Wheeler required a fourth quarter comeback against the Calumet Warriors. Griffith had their way with them, and they played hungry. I think we could see maybe why they maybe had this kind of shuffle the deck.
That's right, and Wheeler had to come back down 14 points against
they're on the ropes.
Calumet. So great job by Wheeler to come back, but you see Griffith came out prepared this week, and they jumped a spot. So kudos to them for A, jumping a spot, and B, for what a great performance they had against Calumet.
It's hard to discredit anything they did last Friday night against a tough Calumet Warrior team. The top 4 stay the same. No changes here, but number 4 are the Lowell Red Devils. Timothy James, this guy is a star. He has the genetics. Again, the James family, it's in their blood. Tough Lowell running backs. Has the number 32, 16 carries, 274 yards, 4 touchdowns, all career highs for the sophomore tailback. Gavin Gutierrez had a nice day at the office as well. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns for 123 yards. Brody Kowinski just, steady, good runner as well, but 6 of 7 for 158 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Lowell, again, we'll talk about them later in the show, Jay, but just one of the bigger surprises of the year, of course, but 5-0 now in the conference, playing their way to a big Week 9 game against the number 3rd ranked team in our poll.
Yeah, that's right. And you got to like that. 61.5-yard average of receiving on 2 catches.
Not bad.
That's not bad. That's some yak right there, right?
That's right. A good fantasy day for Gavin Gutierrez and a good day overall for the Lowell Red Devils, who were at the Inferno last week and will be at the Inferno to close out the regular season. And I think they'll be there for Week 1 of the playoffs as well. So kind of
a nice little roll there for them. Them and Hobart. Right?
Talk about a tough place to play. Once again, the Inferno, no matter if there's grass or turf. Coming up at number 3 are the Andrean 59ers, also 7-1. and 5-0 in the NCC. 21-0 win over Hanover Central. And Jay, we talked about this defense. Go a little bit more in depth. They're only allowing 10.4 points per game, allowing just 6 points a night since that 41-point outburst by the Maryville Pirates in Week 1. I mean, this is a team that, again, I think we said it last week, offense wins games, defense wins championships, and they have the offensive playmakers that we'll talk about. But this defense, Jay, it might be second to none in the class of 2A.
That's right, and you got to look at it. You look at they gave up 13 points to Highland. They were up 52-13 in that victory. So you got to look. How many of these touchdowns were garbage touchdowns once they took a big lead? They had several close games: 17-7 versus Hobart, 21-7 against Munster. So
they're not putting up points.
They're not. But
right.
You know what they do, and they've always done this, is they do ball control. They wear you out. Bring another James in and just do that long 8-minute drive during the fourth quarter, wear down the defense, punch that score in, and then sit back and play. And they always have done this in the past. They like to rush 4 or 5 guys and play some man coverage with free safety over the top and get some pressure on that quarterback. They don't like that quarterback to sit back there and have time to throw. So, great season though for Andrean.
Yeah, plenty of athletes playing both sides of the ball as well. Ethan Reyna had another day, 12 tackles, had a tackle for loss and an interception. Christian Gavin, one of the impact transfers that Andrean landed this past offseason. 8 tackles, tackle for loss. Landon Murray, I think only a junior, had a sack to his name. And looking at the offense for Andrean, 2 quarterbacks. They have Dylan Gore, who's a sophomore. He's kind of more of the passer. Did not have the best day under center, maybe as a passer. 4 of 8 for 89 yards, still 2 touchdowns. Brady Ellis, who has the more experience, kind of a bit more dangerous as a runner, was pretty effective as a passer, at least in this one. 8 of 15, 65 yards, had a touchdown, interception to his name. But 2 guys that can kind of give you fits, and defenses especially. Beware, because again, Gore, you have a sophomore who's getting some reps, and Brady Ellis as well, who's an athlete that plays a little bit of corner, plays a little bit of DB as well. Just guys, trying to keep each other fresh. Up at 2 are the Maryville Pirates, 6-2 record, 5-1 in the DAC. Again, a big win at Lake Central, like we said. Michael Hill Jr., a little bit more about his stats. 21 of 32 for 298 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, also had a rushing touchdown to his name. And J.Q. Johnson, don't forget about that tailback, 17 carries, 126 yards, 2 total touchdowns. And Maryville, they got Chesterton tomorrow night, so we'll talk about that later in the show.
Right.
They got Morton in the sectional opener, what very well could be the sectional championship in that sectional. And if they get through that, again, you start looking. You don't want to look too far ahead, Jay. But again, the floor for this Maryville team is what do we think?
Well, it's year in and year out. They get to that semi-state, and let's see if they can break that ceiling.
Yeah.
What program in the area wouldn't be happy with going to a semi-state almost year in and year out? Yep. Between them and Valpo sharing that, it seems like they just, Valpo's been able to break through. But I think it's Maryville's turn. They've got all the pieces, and they've got that defense rolling just the way they want it.
It's, again, year in, year out, like you said, and they just take care of business.
Who wouldn't love that?
Yeah, right. Shoot. I wouldn't mind a couple trophies in the trophy case to see the absolute least. Coming in at 1 of the Crown Point Bulldogs, 8-0 overall, 6-0 in the conference. They do clinch a share of the Duneland title with a chance to take it all for themselves come tomorrow night. And, Jay, I think a stat with Crown Point that really was impressive. Their 5th straight unbeaten regular season on the road. Very impressive.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And just how many games have they won in a row during the regular season? They have
35, 34.
It's the new dynasty right now. You've got some old ones, with Griffith back in their heyday, and Gran, you got Lowell, and if I miss somebody, excuse me, but those were programs that just year in and year out would just go and dominate their conferences. And there's years where those teams that I'd mentioned, and Hobart, and those guys would always butt heads, in sectional or in the final season of the game, final game of the season.
Yep.
But it was just always so much fun, and Crown Point is added to that fun in Northwest Indiana.
And a chance to make more history come
That's
tomorrow
right.
night. We'll talk about some games in Week 9, but first, after we take a break, we'll talk about the conference standings and the sectional pairings. We'll be back here on Region Football Weekly on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
At Strachan Van Til, we believe grocery shopping should be simple. Now, shopping is easier than ever with our new and improved website. Find what you need fast. Browse your favorite products, add them to your cart, and check out in just a few quick steps. Choose between convenient in-store pickup or let us handle the heavy lifting. From our shelves to your doorstep, skip the lines, shop your way, and spend more time on what matters most. With our rewards program, enjoy incredible savings and personalized offers every time you shop. Shop online now at strachanvantil.com or download our app today.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
From lighting up Friday Night Football to powering the classrooms that shape the students of Lake County, IBEW Local 697 is proud to support our region's schools and the communities we call home. A career as a union electrician could be your next great move. Your next cap might be a hard hat. IBEW Local 697, powering futures, powering the region.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialist.
Hi, this is Tim down at Tire Pros and Auto Superstore, 5200 Cleveland in Maryville. 219-887-3333 is our phone number. We've been serving the region and building relationships with our valued customers for the past 23 years. We have a wide variety of services, quality tires with the best warranty in the nation, and some of the most skilled mechanics I've ever worked with. Let us exceed your expectations. We're setting a new standard. Come on down, ask for Mike or Tim. We'll take excellent care of you. Thank you.
Back here on Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville, coming to you live from the Center Bank Studio at the Athletic Performance Factory. Mike Dewan, Justin Cole, and our freshly cut co-host, Jay Simmons. Jay, how do we get freshly cut here?
Hey, well, we got a well-executed cut, like a well-executed play at Level Up Lounge. Go to Level Up Lounge on the Booksy app to book your appointment, your next appointment with Big Al, Big C, and Axel. That's how you get a fresh cut like this, baby.
What's the cut? Are you able to share your secrets and then what you tell the guys over there at Level Up Barber Lounge, or we're gonna keep it under wraps?
We're gonna keep it under wraps, but
right.
It's all about the look, baby.
That's right. They do a great job
yes,
over there,
do.
so feel free to take Jay's
and
word.
You know what the fun thing about going to that place is, they all know and they all talk about region sports, and they give me insight and information. Right. They're well connected. So if you want to talk high school sports, region sports, go to Level Up Barber Lounge and book your next appointment.
Love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Conference standings time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll start it off in the GLAC. The Morton Governors and East Chicago Central Cardinals are tied at the top of the conference with a 1-0 record. Morton now coming in at 10 in our poll. 5-3 overall. East Chicago Central 3-5. Hammond Central in the basement of that 3-team division, trying to get their first win of this season. Moving over to the north, a champion has been crowned. The Lake Station Eagles, 6-2 in the GSSC North overall, and then I believe that they're now 3-0 in the conference. Big shout out to them, rounding out Boone Grove, River Forest, and Bishop Knoll in that order. The GSSC South, Jay, it's been a fun race over there. We got the Wheeler Bearcats coming in at 6. Now again, that unblemished in 7 games, 3-0 record in their side of the GSSC. And right above them, well, I guess, even with them are the Griffith Panthers at number 5.
That'd be 1A and 1B, right?
Pretty much, right? All that kind of matters. At this point of the season is the overall record. What really matters when you got conference titles on the line. Your conference record is what matters. Griffith also unblemished in the conference. Calumet now dropping those 2 games in the conference, 5-3 overall, 1-2 in the conference. Whiting 2-6, 1-2, and Westside 3-4, and winless in 3 games in the conference. The NCC featuring 3 ranked teams. Andrean and Lowell hold the top spots with 7-1 overall records and 5-0 in the NCC. Hobart at 8 in our poll, 6-2 overall, 3-2 in the conference, and Hanover Central, Munster, KV, and Highland in that order. 4 ranked teams in the Duneland. Top-ranked Crown Point Bulldogs, again, have a share of the DAC title. They clinched their 4th consecutive Duneland title with a win over Michigan City, who is at 3rd, actually tied with Maryville, 6-2 records overall, 5-1 in the conference, with Chesterton now 5-3 overall, 4-2 in the conference. Valparaiso, again, the haves and have-nots, if you will, here, Jay. Valparaiso, big win last week, 2-6 overall, 2-4 in the conference, and the Port, Lake Central, and Portage, respectively. Jay, what has been the most intriguing conference race? I could say there's 3 right now we could probably choose from.
Well, I'm going to go with the NCC. Who would have thought at the beginning of this season that Lowell with a new head coach would be in this spot right now, right here?
It's impressive.
And that's you'd have never thought. You'd have thought Hobart would have been flipped with Lowell at this point. I mean, in Hobart's defense, they lost 2 very close games to the 2 teams that are in front. So no shame in that. But just to see Lowell come back at the rate that they did from last year to this year,
and it's nice to see in that conference, especially, we'll have a winner, a definitive winner. Last year was a 3-way tie between Andrean, Hobart, and Hanover Central. This time around, not so fast, but yeah, definitely a photo finish over there. But now we got a new segment. We had the sectionals come out last Sunday. Jay, we'll start it off at the 1A class in sectional 41, going from the top of your brackets, as you may see on your screen, and working our way down. We have LaVille at Culver Community, North Judson St. Pierre at South Central, West Central at South Newton, and North Newton at Bowman. Jay, a couple unfamiliar teams, at least a little bit out of our coverage area.
Right.
I mean, the highlight for this one, North Judson, one of the top teams. I believe they're number 2 in the class of 1A. Bowman's, again, one of those fun stories that may shake up the bottom of the bracket, but North Judson, watch out for those Blue Jays.
Yeah, they're red hot, and I remember you talking about they have a couple of really good players, and you know what? It's going to be tough at that 1A level to try and come out of there. Especially, Bowman had a great season, so it'd be nice to see them come out of that bottom half.
Sure, Bowman gets that first game at home. North Newton will be at Bowman. North Judson starts on the road against South Central. Again, how it kind of works with if you have to kind of match up your away and home games. Like North Judson wins, I believe they'll automatically be at home. And of course, the bracket, that's kind of how it works. But I don't know. There's all rules behind it. You guys can find that and whatnot. But North Judson might be the favorite in that one, but watch out for teams like Bowman as well. Again, kind of a sectional that's up for grabs, or at least somebody to maybe challenge the Blue Jays of North Judson. Moving up a class to a sectional of 7 teams, a peculiar one. Wheeler takes on the host Lake Station Eagles, an intriguing matchup there, Jay. The Rensselaer Central Bombers take on Boone Grove at Boone Grove, and Bremen takes on Whiting. Jay, I think we could start and finish at the top of the bracket, because the winner of that Wheeler and Lake Station game plays an Andrean team that comes off a bye. That Andrean, again, playing some good football, probably a well-deserved bye. Of course, all that is randomized. But Andrean, I'm sure they're probably itching to maybe keep the ball rolling. But Wheeler and Lake Station, Lake Station, they won their side of the GSSC. Wheeler could be a GSSC champ come this time tomorrow night.
That's right.
And a good one at the top of the bracket.
Yeah, the top of the bracket sort of going to take control of what happens in this bracket. And Andrean, and the thing is, you look at them, looking at Andrean's schedule right here, they play everybody above their class.
Yeah, right.
So they got Maryville, 5A, and then the rest of their conference is either 4 or 5A. They played a couple 3A schools, Angola and Fort Wayne Lures, that were 3A. Again, still playing above their class. So that's great job for scheduling how they do that.
Sure.
The athletic director. But boy, Wheeler's gonna have their kind cut out for them.
Right.
Their work cut out for them, and that's I think that's going to be the marquee matchup week 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's hard to go against the Andrean 59ers who do all of this, Jay, for a reason. But again, you got to wonder if rust maybe plays a little bit of or rest versus rust, or how that goes. And
That's right.
if they have that kind of week off, or they kind of want to keep things rolling, but a good chance for them to maybe get healthy than what they already are. With again, a lot of players playing both ways at small schools like that. Moving up to the 3A class, sectional 25, John Glenn is at Calumet. Mishawaka Marion takes on River Forest. Griffith is at Bishop Knoll, and Knox is at Jimtown. And some fun matchups at the top of the bracket, but Jay, we'll shift our focus to the bottom of the bracket. 2 winnable matchups, we could say, potentially for Griffith and Knox, setting up what is another fun sort of maybe rivalry. What could you call it? Some good storylines behind this game between Griffith and, of course, the Russ Radke-led Knox Redskins.
Yeah, it's right there. There's the storyline right there. Yeah. The guy that everybody loves or loves to hate. And
sure.
Hey, when you win that many games and you're that good at what you're doing, you're going to make a lot of friends, but you're also going to make some enemies along the way. And Russ doesn't mind that. He sort of relishes in that. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a fun game week 2, I think, for both of those teams. And it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully, maybe we'll cover.
Maybe, but the bottom half of the bracket definitely want to look out for. Calumet, nice to see them be at home against a John Glenn team that is again, a potential winnable game for Calumet to open up at home. River Forest, a team we're more familiar with. Mishawaka Marion, again, at bottom of the bracket is tough. Griffith, a very solid team ranked in our poll, and Knox might have the best player, not only in the class of 3A, but in the state of Indiana with Miles McLaughlin, who's not only leading, I think, the state of Indiana in rushing, but he's close to leading the country in rushing. He's flirting with history and has a chance to maybe make some more history throughout the tournament. So watch out for that player for the Knox Redskins. That is Miles McLaughlin. Moving up to one of my favorite sectionals, arguably I'd say my favorite sectional, is sectional 17 at the 4A class. A lot of teams we are definitely familiar with, Jay, especially going to be fun this year with a sectional that was owned by New Prairie, a team that is going through some changes, a new head coach over there, and a 2-6 record to this point. But to start at the top of the bracket and work our way down, the Hanover Central Wildcats take on the Lowell Red Devils, a fun matchup to kick things off. Highland takes on East Chicago Central. Kankakee Valley is at West Side, and New Prairie is at Hobart. Jay, I think we could first shift our focus to the first and the bottom games on our brackets. Again, to see Lowell and Hobart not looking too far ahead, but that could be a collision course between those two teams.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely gonna be a collision course. I mean, Lowell's got to watch themselves out. I mean,
that's true.
I'm looking at the score. It was 35-20. In week 4. Mm-hmm. So hey, they can't go to sleep on this one and start looking towards the sectional championship. They got of course you got to play the game. I think a famous quote from somebody.
Yep. No doubt about
but yeah, I think Lowell's definitely got to make sure they don't look too ahead. Same with Hobart. Make sure they keep their focuses, because it's going to be a collision course come sectional championship time.
Yeah, I'd say looking at those two teams, both ranked in our poll, if they get through those games, New Prairie, although a 2-6 record, a team that's suffered a little bit of turnover, still a talented team, and a team that's been a thorn in Hobart's side. For Hobart, I think, with Hobart and Lowell, we talked about they have 3 straight home games, respectively, and 2 of probably the toughest places to play in the area, especially, during playoffs. And when the weather gets a little bit colder, especially with teams like, these guys are a little bit more run heavy, Lowell more than Hobart, but I would say it definitely benefits them to, again, have this home field advantage here, Jay.
Oh, definitely. And you got to sit and try and figure, okay, how does who get the sectional championship? Who gets which one? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be fun how these other games play out to see who gets that home field advantage come sectional championship.
Definitely one thing to look out for as we move forward, Jay, and I will be sure to break it on down the sectionals progress. We'll shift over to sectional 9 in the class of 5A, now taking it down to 4 teams in each of these last 3 sectionals. A 5A sectional, Jay. Munster's at Hammond Central, and Maryville's at Morton, Jay. I'd say this one is definitely top-heavy. Maryville and Morton right off the bat is definitely one of the more intriguing matchups. Morton, again, a talented roster, but again, Maryville, it's tough, man. This team is their collision course for regionals just about every single year.
That's
at the very least.
So they are rolling. They're playing well. They're balanced offensively, both with the run and the pass. And then also defensively, they're playing lights out. So they're going to be a tough team to stop in this sectional.
If Maryville takes care of business, which again, Morton's not hoping to not let that happen. Maryville would be at home for the sectional championship. Moving over to the sectional 10 in the 5A class, the winner of that sectional 9 will play the winner of this sectional between 4 Duneland teams. Michigan City at Valparaiso to the top of your bracket, and LaPorte is at Chesterton. Jay, this is a very, very intriguing one because Valparaiso, they own the sectional for the past few seasons, and Valparaiso is still a team not to be counted out here just yet, but they have lost to 2 of these opponents. They beat LaPorte, but they lost to Michigan City. They lost a close one to Chesterton. This one's, I'd say, for anybody up in this point.
I would say out of all the sectionals we looked at, this has got to be the most intriguing because you can't just go, all right, I'm penciling in these 2 teams, and this is who's going to be for the championship. You don't know what's going to happen in this sectional. It's the most wide open one, and I think the most fun to take a look at.
Cannot wait for that one. Once again, the 5 and 6A sectionals, there will be a week off in that first week where it'll just be classes 4A and lower, and then they'll really kick things up. I believe Halloween night was when they'll get their first taste of action, Friday the 31st. The big dogs will shift it up to the sectional 1 at the 6A class, our final sectional we'll talk about here. Jay, Lake Central takes on Crown Point, and Penn is at Portage. Lake Central and Portage, I think, respectively, the Indians in the Duneland, trying to shake this things up. But this could be a collision course once again for 2 teams that have been familiar with each other, with Crown Point and Penn.
It's definitely, you just got to pencil it in. You look at Crown Point, 8-0 at this point in the season, Penn 8-0.
Yeah.
Both of them playing great offense, both of them playing well-balanced offense, and accordingly playing great defense. So when you go 8-0, you're doing something right.
Yeah, Penn, kind of one of the shocks. When I saw
That's
their
right.
8-0, I saw them week 1 against Valparaiso. Valparaiso kind of took them to the limit. Penn had to replace a stud wide receiver lost them to a transfer. They had, a quarterback situation last year with a lot of production from that side, and they had, a lot of new faces all across the board. But Penn now 8-0, Crown Point 8-0. They could be on a collision course, but again, that's why we play playoffs.
That's
Don't
right.
sleep on those other 2 teams that play Crown Point and Penn. We'll step aside here. We'll have one more segment here on Region Football Weekly. We'll be back on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town. Level up your haircut at Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland. With over 30 years of combined experience, walk in today and get treated by some of the best in the business. To book an appointment, call 219-513-9083. Or hit up Big Al, Big C, or Axel at the Booksy app or webpage. Head to Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland for a well-executed cut like a well-executed play.
Old Man Winter is just around the corner, and that means temperatures will soon begin to drop. And a region winter is not the time to be left out in the cold. The professionals at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling can tune up that old furnace or install a new unit that can last for years. Your family deserves to stay comfortable this winter, and with 24/7 emergency service, comfort is just a phone call away. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, 219-923-4441. Or for more info, the website is forajobdoneright.com.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I have received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step toward your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
Life isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet moments that matter the most. Of effort, of a dream taking root. And behind those moments, there's trust. Thank you for trusting Centier Bank with those moments and making us a part of your story. Thank you for the opportunity to earn your trust.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.
Back here for Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville. We are more than tires. Jay Simmons, Justin Cole, Mike DeWan, breaking it down for you guys for tomorrow night. A big slate of games with plenty of conference implications, conference titles on the line. Jay, who has it better than us? I don't know if anybody does. Right. So let's get into it. We'll start off strong. A top 5 matchup that will decide the winner of the NCC. The Andrean 59ers travel to the Inferno to take on the Lowell Red Devils. Jay, we talk about these two teams pretty frequently. Andrean, a defense especially that is very, very strong, an offense that gives you a little bit of different looks. They could show a little bit more consistency, but it's a team that relies on their defense. And Lowell, this is like a team that we've kind of seen from previous years that could run the football, control the clock, play good defense. This game, Jay, not a game that we probably penciled in as one of the top games of the year, but a game we're definitely going to look out for with an NCC title on the line.
Yeah, definitely. And, I was trying to go through it and try and find where are some weaknesses or who do I pick in this game and, where do I go with it? I tried going, by the conference scores, came up with nothing. And the only real thing I came up with is that non-conference games. Lowell, non-conference teams that they played, they're 17. They're the combined record for their 3 non-conference, 17-7. Of course, the loss to Crown Point, 8-0 in their non-conference games. And then you look at Andrean, their teams are 14-10. Again, a loss to Maryville. Both of those games came in week 1. Mm-hmm. So you just look at it and you just say, wow, this is the most evenly matched game I think I've seen for a conference title in a long time.
Eerily similar between both the makeups of these teams, both their one blemish on the record between, to 2 very solid dueling opponents.
1 and 2 in our RSN poll.
Exactly. So you can't have much more of a quality loss than that. But, Jay, I guess we'll finish out with this before we move on to next games. But who do you think? I mean, it's a coin flip, I'd say, at this point.
Yes.
Lowell being at home sure helps, but this game could go either way here.
Well,
Jay.
I'm going to give the home team the edge. It's going to be a defensive battle, a run-heavy game. I'm going with Lowell 12 and Andrean 10.
Ooh, a slugfest over there will be a fun one there to determine the NCC outright winner. Again, that's the number 3 Andrean 59ers at the home of the number 4 Lowell Red Devils. Keeping things rolling, the Bishop Knoll Warriors take on the host Boone Grove Wolves. Calumet takes on Westside. Westside being the host in that one between 2 teams that are quite familiar with one another. The Frontier Falcons travel to take on the South Newton Rebels. Hammond Central takes on the host Hanover Central Wildcats. Not a conference game there for both sides. Highland travels to the Brickyard for the Brickies to, again, keep up that home streak going on and build up some momentum. Hobart coming in at 8 in our poll. They will take on Highland to close out their regular season. Knox takes on the host Bowman Academy. Big watch out for Miles McLaughlin of Knox, hoping to make a little bit of more history with those rushing yards of his. One of those fantastic quarterbacks there for the Knox Redskins. We'll pause right here, Jay. Perfect. We'll keep things rolling. Right. A top 10 matchup that will determine, at least potentially, either the outright winner of the DAC or a party of 2 at the top of the DAC. That is the number 7 Michigan City Wolves taking on the host number 1 Crown Point Bulldogs. Jay, a top 7 matchup. Kind of one of those, Jay. Again, we talk about the greatness of Crown Point so far. Doesn't quite feel like it. Michigan City, though, I think what benefits them, a team that stays fresh, a team that uses tempo and a team that is, again, not to be slept on, and they'll come ready to play, I bet.
Yes, they will. The thing that we talked about earlier in the broadcast is Michigan City mistakes. They're going to have to play the cleanest, perfect game in order to stay in this game. No turnovers, no penalties, and, find some way to beat that Crown Point defense and get some points on the board. Because if you can get some points on the board against Crown Point defense, then you got a chance in that game. Because once you get behind them, that rushing offense of Crown Point just takes control of the clock and just dominates.
Again, the implications in that game. If Crown Point wins that one, they clinch their outright 4th consecutive Duneland title. If Michigan City walks out with the win there, they will be a 2-team share for the top of the conference. Keeping things going with games that we are not doing on the Region Sports Network. Morton, a winner-take-all game here in the GLAC. Morton traveling, coming in number 10 in our poll, traveling to take on East Chicago Central. Munster takes on the host KV Cougars. Penn travels to South Bend St. Joseph. Pioneer will go to the North Judson Blue Jays. Portage takes on the host LaPorte Slicers. South Bend Washington will go to New Prairie. Tri-County will go to North Newton. And Whiting will go to LaVille. We'll have 4 games on the Region Sports Network once again come tomorrow night. 3 of those will be video and 1 of those will be audio. We'll start it off with our lone audio broadcast between the number 9th Chesterton Trojans and the 2nd-ranked Maryville Pirates. This game, Chesterton, we can talk about them. We'll start with them, Jay. A team you saw last week, I'd say right off the bat, cannot be one-dimensional.
No, they can't. And they got Boyd going, so their passing game's moving a little bit. But again, I think Maryville's going to throw the kitchen sink at this young quarterback and rattle him hard, trying to put him on his back and get guys in his face every time he steps back to pass. It's going to be a long night for him. If he can bounce back and do well, they've got a chance in this game. But Maryville just got too many tools.
Yeah, to maybe speed things up for a kind of a younger quarterback as well for Maryville. I think Chesterton, I'm sure they could take a page maybe out of Maryville's book. What we saw last week when Michael Hill Jr. has the time in the pocket where, okay, you may have a spy on him and you could contain him and shut that off, but when you give him that much time, he'll throw for 300 yards and be efficient as always. I think Chesterton, I'd imagine they could maybe take a page out of these other books where, hey, let's try and speed things up for Michael Hill Jr.
That's right. And here's the key for Maryville is going to be diversification. If they run the ball, then all of a sudden Chesterton can't sit back with their ears pinned and try and get to the quarterback. If they pass the ball well, then all of a sudden, they're going to be moving the ball up and down the field. The key for this game is for Chesterton is to be able to, again, score points and stay with that Maryville offense because there's no shutting Maryville down.
No, to talk about that Maryville offense, 36.5 points per game, 38-plus points in all 6 of their victories this season. Not too bad, Jay. That game, again, it'll be audio only. Coverage for all of our games will begin at approximately 6:45 p.m. Again, number 9 Chesterton at the home of the number 2 Maryville Pirates. These last 3 games are all video. We'll tune it over to the Lake Central Indians travel to Viking Field. Will take on the host Valpo Vikings. Jay, 2 teams that are kind of in the same, spot in the Duneland. Valparaiso, I think starting with them, they could, roll into a winnable sectional with 2 straight victories if they were to take care of business tomorrow night. And that's something that I bet this team especially needs after the season they've kind of had here so far.
Definitely. They want to end the season on a positive note. Same thing with Lake Central.
Yeah.
Between the 2 teams, I'm not going to give you out what I'm going to think is going to happen right away, but one team just seems to make mistakes when they're doing something good, and it always seems to set them back. One team has flashes of greatness and then just sort of disappears. All right, so here's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Valparaiso, again, going with the home team, Valparaiso 17, Lake Central 10, and the team that always shoots themselves in the foot, it seems like, is Lake Central. They just seem, anytime they do something good, they get something good going, they either have a turnover, a penalty, they find some way to self-destruct. Valparaiso, the couple games I saw them, had flashes of greatness, then all of a sudden disappeared. But it was against Maryville, it was against Crown Point, so taking those 2 teams out of the, 1 and 2 in our polls, I think Valparaiso has a bit of an edge here, and and it seems like more consistent play.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely the name of the game because I think Valparaiso as well, although Lake Central, they might be a team that week in and week out has been on a more consistent basis of shooting themselves in the foot, as you said. Valparaiso, we kind of seen that as well. So I think, Jay, to put a bow on this one, whatever team simply plays the cleaner game is going to walk out on top in this one with two teams kind of in similar spots, had similar seasons where they had flashes, but again, turnovers and penalties and whatnot, got to clean it up, and what better time to do it than week 9 before their respective sectionals. 2 games left to talk about. The Lake Station Eagles will be at River Forest, a game that I'll fortunately be calling and will then be at. 2 teams that do not like each other. It's separated, Jay, by 2.6 miles. If we really wanted to, you and I could maybe take a stroll between the 2 schools if we want, and maybe break a couple sweats, but not too bad. Not too bad. 2.6 miles is really not that far, and these are 2 teams that, although it's maybe one of those rivalries that you have to kind of be in it to really get it, but I'm excited personally to be at a place like River Forest, and two teams, 2 communities that want this one bad. A traveling trophy as well, the Frank Chester Trophy.
And this is one of those games you throw out the records because it is such an intense rivalry that you just don't know. The team, because one team that's down may say, hey, this is our Super Bowl. We're coming out. We're going to play great. We've got to put a bow on our season. Let's do it right here. Let's do it tonight. So just throw out the records. You're going to have some fun at that game tonight.
I'm excited.
Tomorrow.
I'm excited. Yeah, and it's you talk about throwing records out the window. I mean, Lake Station, who, again, the GSSC North Division champs, arguably having the better season. River Forest has had their number. Lake Station has not beaten the Ingots since 2013. So this is going to be a very, very intriguing one. River Forest, kind of, a little bit of change on their sidelines. Again, Mark Hidalgo, their former head coach, now at Calumet. First-year head coach over there, Ed Ekblad. Super, super excited for that one. That'll be on the Region Sports Network. Again, Lake Station at River Forest. And now turning it over to a game that you will be at, Jay, a top 6 matchup.
The marquee game
to decide the GSSC South Division. The Griffith Panthers coming in at 5 on their poll take on the number 6 Wheeler Bearcats. 2 teams that flopped places in the Enigenberg Exteriors Home Improvement Top 10. Not like they really care too much.
No, they don't.
But Jay, a very, very exciting one. Like you said, probably the marquee matchup on our slate this week.
Yes, it is. And I'm not giving a prediction because I'm going to that game. I want to go in clean. Sure. But I just think one of the things that caught my eye in this one is, of course, the week previous games. Griffith beating Calumet 63-14, and then Wheeler struggling against Calumet, coming back in that 4th quarter victory, 21-16. That one just, it makes me want to pause for a second and think, I think maybe Griffith's got the edge, but I'm not going there. Then a couple other things that really caught my eye is, you look at 2 really good coaches here. Now you look at Phil Mason. He's in his 25th year. And then you got Coach Testa in his 6th year. Yeah. Do those things come into factor? I've been watching both of these teams throughout the year, and they are both extremely well coached. I think it's gonna come down to that one break. Here's my prediction.
Okay. Didn't have to do much to get it out of you too.
No, sorry, it made it too easy. But my prediction is, it's going to go into the 4th quarter, and it's going to be the last drive of the game. Whoever has it, if they finish it, that's going to be the winner right there. I'm thinking this is such a close game, and paper in every way possible, offensive scoring, defensive scoring, scoring differentials, everything. I'm excited to do this game, and I think it's going to be like 55-50. It's going to be we're going to be there. Me and Leo are going to be there for a while because it's going to be a long and high scoring game.
Defense optional. I guess we'll have to find out come tomorrow night, Jay. Again, we got 4 games on the Region Sports Network. To recap it all, the 9th-ranked Chesterton Trojans are at the house of the number 2 Maryville Pirates for an audio-only broadcast. The Lake Central Indians will be at Valparaiso, and Lake Station will be at River Forest, a game that I'll be on the call with Andrew Mile and Jay, a game that you'll be on the call. The 5th-ranked Griffith Panthers take on the number 6 Wheeler Bearcats. Alongside that, we'll have our studio stuff as usual. We'll have our tailgate. We'll have our RSN zone. We'll have our wrap-up show. We'll have the multi-view going on with our 3 video games and the audio broadcast going on as well. We'll also have the Strachan Vaneto Hometown Scoreboard with all the games to talk about, not only kind of in this little corner of Northwest Indiana, but kind of, branching out even to areas, well beyond kind of our coverage
That's
range.
right.
We gear up for a fun sectional time. Jay, a fun day tomorrow for Friday night to kind of cap off what has been a fun 2025 regular season.
Yes, it has, and there's a lot of, not a whole lot, but a good enough surprises throughout the season that it made it really fun to work and be here with you. It's been a great season, Mike. I enjoyed doing a show all season long. Let's keep it going into the playoffs.
Making me blush here, man. I know I got to finish this out, but no, Jay, likewise. We still got plenty more to go.
That's
we still
right.
got a couple more weeks to go, but for the final chapter come tomorrow night, again, we'll have plenty of stuff going on, so feel free to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, regionsports.com, and the IHSAA Champions Network. That's all from us here on Thursday evening. For Justin Cole, our producer, for Jay Simmons, our gracious co-host, I am Mike Dewan. Thank you all for watching Region Football Weekly, presented by Tire Pros in Maryville on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.